Day of the SAT English exam, my son spent 2.5 hours writing nothing but a single essay. The title was, "My Mother is a Murderer." It described in careful detail the whole process of how I killed my husband and sealed his body inside a wall. A few days later, the grader who read it called the police at once. Officers swarmed our house and broke open the very wall my son had written about. When I saw what was inside that wall, I smiled. My son, on the other hand, went mad. When the police surrounded the house, I was out in the yard watering the flowers. Every flower in that yard, my son had planted himself, one by one, when he was small. He treasured them. If even one wilted a little, it pained him so much he couldn't eat. Then the gate was kicked open, and a wave of officers filed in, trampling straight across the flowers and plants in the yard. Watching my son's beloved flowers get crushed underfoot like that, I ached. I was about to say something when he suddenly rushed out of the house, his whole face lit up at the sight of the men. "You finally came." I had no idea what was happening. The man at the front walked up to me, holding out his badge. "I'm Captain Gray of the Homicide Division. You're a suspect in a murder case. Please cooperate with our investigation." As he said it, he handed me the essay my son had written at the testing center. It was only in that moment that I learned I had become the most notorious murderer mother in the country. My son's essay had set off an enormous stir across the city, because in every major practice exam before this, he had always sat far and away at the top, untouchable. For these SATs, everyone had been certain he would be the top scorer in the entire state. And yet, during the English exam, he simply threw away a perfect score test and spent 2.5 hours writing this essay instead. The essay said it plainly. One night 10 years ago, my mother, Sarah Henson, killed my father, Oscar James. She bricked up a wall that same night and sealed my father's body inside the wall of their master bedroom. After the grader called the police, the whole thing spread everywhere, and it spread together with the essay my son had written. Everyone was talking about the presumptive top scorer who threw away his SATs and used his own future to expose in an essay that his mother was a murderer. And I was the last to know. I stared at that essay for a long time, and the longer I looked, the harder my hands shook. I knew my son's handwriting, but what it said, I couldn't accept. I looked at my son and asked, my voice trembling, "You wrote this?" He looked back at me without any expression. "Yes, I've waited too long for this moment." A sharp pain shot through my chest, as if something had stabbed into me. "So these 10 years, all that hard work, was just to get back at me like this?" His eyes were cold on mine. "That's right. Only this way would my essay be taken seriously. Only this way would everyone find out you're a murderer." Looking at this child I had raised for 18 years, I suddenly felt I didn't know him at all. All this time I'd believed he had grown up, that he understood now, that he had learned to take responsibility for his own life. But it turned out he had spent 10 years of effort honing himself into the sharpest possible blade. All so that today, he could drive it straight into me. The police hadn't come alone. A crowd of reporters and online streamers had rushed in with them. Now every camera was trained on me. Some were live streaming, some were pushing microphones at my face. "Ms. Henson, your son wrote all of this in his exam essay. Do you have anything to say about it? We've heard your husband vanished suddenly 10 years ago and has never been found. Is it true that you killed him? Your son was the favorite to be top SAT scorer, yet he chose to throw away the SATs just to expose your crime with his own hands. How does that make you feel? Can you tell us why you murdered your husband?" Each reporter's question was sharper than the last. The live stream was exploding, the viewer count breaking 100,000, the comments scrolling by uglier by the second. It was as though everyone had already decided I was the woman who'd killed her own husband. I lifted my eyes to the cameras and said evenly, "It's just an essay a kid scribbled down. No proof, nothing behind it, and you all actually believe it?" The words had barely left my mouth when a voice cut up out of the crowd. "Paul has always been honest. He'd never lie. I believe every word he said is true." The one speaking was my mother-in-law. Leaning on Nicole James's arm, she came slowly out of the crowd, her eyes red-rimmed and full of hatred as she glared at me, then turned to address everyone there. "I'm Sarah Henson's mother-in-law. 10 years ago is the last time I saw my son, Oscar James. I'd call him, and his phone was always off. I'd text him, and no one ever answered. Back then I asked Sarah what was going on, and she told me my son had gone abroad for work.